Here. So welcome to Worksheet 9. We're talking about case uses. I'm going to let the Discord just keep on doing its Discord thing. So in class yesterday and today, and for section 53, I'll see you guys tomorrow. We're kind of going through the different uses of the cases, not to say we're going to cover every single thing that the case can do. So Discord, my apologies. We're not going to discuss ablative of degree of difference. But for the, hey Max, for the major case uses, I just want to kind of dip our feet in the water so we know the sorts of things that these cases can do. So this worksheet's weird because the front of it, you really don't have anything to do, right? So just kind of follow along with me as I go sentence by sentence. Starting with the nominative case, we said the nominative is the subject and anything related to the subject. So that one's pretty straightforward. So in my example here, Jupiter circumspectat, Jupiter looks around. He's the subject of that verb. Okay, so he's in the nominative case. In a predicate nominative situation where I say, for instance, Jupiter deus est, Jupiter is a god. God is more information about Jupiter. So since it's talking about the subject, it also needs to be in the nominative case. Genitive, probably the most well-known use of the genitive is possession or possessive. So ager Marci is Marcus's field, right? Magnus est is large. So genitives are always modifying another word. They're telling me more information about that field, right? Whose field is it? It's Marcus's. Description is to say that somebody is a person. Mark's field, huge. Mark's got a huge field. Description is telling me what sort of person they are, of what quality is that person. So Marcus, Mark, vir magnae virtutis est. Mark is a man of great courage, of great virtue. I keep mixing these two words up in English. That's like saying, what kind of person is Marcus? If you say he's a man of great courage, you're saying he's a courageous man. The one I gave as the example in class today was a man of steel, right? Superman is the man of steel, meaning he's a man like steel. He has the quality of steel. Genitive with special adjectives. So some adjectives just like hanging out with genitives, right? So for instance, the adjective plenus, which means full. If you're full of something, that of word is going to go into the genitive. So the town was full of men, right? That would be a situation where you would have a genitive. Partitive means I'm dividing it up. So I don't have all my dinner. I don't eat all of my dinner. I eat part of my dinner. So of is a very common word when you're translating the genitive case. Sometimes you get the apostrophe s, but a lot of times it's the word of. Dative, definitely known for the indirect object, right? So anytime we're giving something, Livia gives a gift to her friend, we're going to put her friend into the dative case. Possession, this one's a little funky. This is like a Latin weird way that Latin does things. So, unus filius erat viro, there was one son for the man. Really, the better way to say that in English is the man had one son. So this is the kind of situation where you have a form of est and somebody in the dative case. This is another way that you can show possession. And it doesn't translate so nicely into English. There are two hands for a person is like saying a person has two hands. So yeah, when you flip it around, Mark, the subject in English is whatever was in the dative. Essentially, the dative is the one who's possessing, right? So there are 4 legs for a cat is like saying a cat has 4 legs. So you kind of flip the whole sentence around. Some adjectives like to hang out with datives. Similis is definitely one of them. So if you're similar to something or you're like something. So the boy was similar to a pig. The boy was like a pig. Pig goes into the dative case. And then, like I said in class, some verbs, particularly credo, they just go with datives, right? So when you trust someone, or in this case, I do not trust the queen, queen goes into the dative. And my apologies for not bolding her. Okay. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit more. See if I can get away with. That's better. Accusative, right? Direct object, definitely a big one, right? So the thing being verbed in an active sentence, the poet tells. What does he tell? Many stories. right? So that's why they are in the accusative case. And then the other sort of general use of the accusative we see a lot, any kind of preposition that takes the accusative. So for instance, the preposition trans, which means across, takes the accusative. So across the land, I will walk. There are a lot of prepositions that take the accusative case. Ablative, we're not even going to touch ablative today. That gets its own day in terms of worksheet. But on our notes today, we talked about the many, many different things that an ablative can do. Okay, and then vocative, direct address, right? Talking directly to someone. So that should give us everything we need to be able to read, and I do mean read, this short passage. So first thing when we're attacking a sentence or we're attacking a passage or anything like that is try to read the entire sentence, right? So Iapetus duos filios Prometheum et Epimetheum habet. So clearly this is a story about some characters. I think that this name probably looks familiar to people. Prometheus, you might not know that he had a brother named Epimetheus. And their father's name was Iapetus. So we have, some names, some characters to get out of the way first. So Iapetus, he's in the nominative case, which makes him my subject. Next words I get here are duos filios. They're in the accusative. Prometheum et Epimetheum, those are all in the accusative case, right? So we have a nominative. We have an accusative. We have a big old accusative. And then we have our third singular verb. So this is about as simple of a sentence as you're going to get, right? So when we translate, remember what we said, we have to do subject, then we do verb, then we do everything else, right? So Iapetus has duos filios. Iapetus has two sons, and their names are Prometheus and Epimetheus. So whenever we translate names, we translate them into the nominative case. So Iapetus has two sons, Prometheus and Epimetheus. So duos filios is one of our words that we need to identify. So the case of duos filios, right? He has two sons. We already said the case would be accusative. And what's the use of that case? What am I writing in the last column? I know we got people in the chat. DO, right? Direct objects, otherwise known as DO. Right. I also asked you guys to translate down here, right? So Iapetus has two sons, Prometheus and Epimetheus. Right. Going back up to our text here. Prometheus. So now, give me 1 second. I'm going to do a little bit of formatting here. Going to space these out. Go single space, and that way I can put some cases above stuff. So Prometheus here is going to be in the nominative case. I can space this out a little bit more too. Prometheus is in the nominative case. Est, right? I've got my verb, easy money. And then we have the word wir, which is also in the nominative case, followed by magnae sapientiae. Both of those words are in the genitive case. So what does it mean? Prometheus est vir magnae sapientiae. Prometheus is... what is he? He is a vir magnae sapientiae. He is a man, and what are we going to do with this genitive here? So Prometheus is a man, so that's a nominative, right? And that's what we would call a predicate nominative, right? Because it's describing Prometheus. Prometheus is a man. What is this magnae sapientiae? In the genitive case, he is a man of great sapientiae. He's a man of great wisdom. So think about what kind of... That's not one of our genitives. We got to use the right term. If he was doing something with great wisdom, it'd be ablative of manner. We're saying he's a man of great wisdom, so that's a genitive of... That's description, right? Saying he's a man of great wisdom is saying he's a very wise man. So back to our translation here. Prometheus is a man of great wisdom. Guess I can see if we have enough space for me to do this. Do it in lines. Yeah, we should have enough space. So Iapetus has two sons, Prometheus and Epimetheus. Prometheus is a man of great wisdom. Descriptio, that's the Latin term. Well done. Prometheus is a man of great wisdom, semicolon, because the next line is going to be talking about his bro, Epimetheus. What do we learn about Epimetheus in the next part? Well, I do some formatting. You guys can do some talking. Epimetheus is a man without wisdom. Fantastic. Okay. So it's almost the same structure. Right? We have our third singular verb. We have our predicate nominative. Sine is a preposition, and it goes with the ablative. Sine plus the ablative. Fantastic. So Prometheus is a man of great wisdom. Epimetheus is a man without wisdom. Okay? So sapientia is in the ablative case. And really all we can say about it is that it's in a prepositional phrase. This one doesn't have a particularly exciting name, just without something. You just call it a prep phrase. So Epimetheus is a man without wisdom. And this makes perfect sense if you speak Greek, because Prometheus means foresight or forethought, right? The ability to predict what's going to happen in the sense of like thinking through your actions. Epimetheus means hindsight. Right? So Prometheus can think about his actions, and Epimetheus can only look back. So that makes them excellent brothers, because they are complete opposites. Prometheus can see the danger coming, and Epimetheus is blissfully unaware of what's going to happen. So then we get our next part here. Jupiter Epimetheo on my chart could be dative, could be ablative. I read through the entire sentence. Jupiter Epimetheo bellam feminam pandoram dat. And my verb is dot. And dot is half of the word dative. And that's not by accident. So Epimetheo is in the dative. Bellam feminam pandoram is in the accusative. And then we have our verb, which is third person singular, at the end. So whenever we translate, subject first, then the verb, then you can grab everything else in the middle. So what does Jupiter do in this line? Jupiter dot. Jupiter Dat Jupiter. I'm looking at you, chat. All right. There we go. Gives a beautiful woman to Epimetheus. Fantastic. So we give an accusative, and her name is Pandora, right? And that's why she's also in the accusative, because she is the beautiful woman. So Jupiter gives a beautiful woman, Pandora, to Epimetheus. So Epimetheus in the dative case, because he's the indirect object, right? She's Jupiter is giving this woman to Epimetheus. So Jupiter gives a beautiful woman, Pandora, to Epimetheus. Which anybody who knows the story of Pandora, you know that this is not going to turn out well for anybody, right? Next line here. Make this 11. Make this 7. Okay. Prometheus Epimetheum in the accusative case. De Pandora, so we have a prep phrase here. De takes the ablative. Saipa means often. That's a little, what we call an adverb. And then we have our verb at the end, third person singular. So moneo means to warn. So Prometheus monet Epimetheum de Pandora. That's kind of the order that you want to attack this. So Prometheus warns Epimetheus. And now I know last year de, the preposition de, a lot of you only learned it as, or you only internalized it as being like from or down from. But it also means about. And that translation comes up a lot. So add that one to your repertoire. Right? Awesome, Alexa. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Right? So Prometheus, about or concerning, fantastic. Prometheus often warns his brother, Epimetheus, about Pandora. So Prometheus here in the nominative case, because he is the subject of the sentence, he often warns Epimetheus, right? He's in the accusative case because he's the direct object, but when we translate his name, you don't want to translate him in the accusative. Prometheus warns Epimetheus about Pandora often, right? Often warns his brother about Pandora. Now again, if you're Greek, you know what Pandora means. Pandora means all gifts, right? Every gift. So she is the, she's the gift. She's the all gift, essentially. So Epimetheus is super psyched about it. But Prometheus, the one who can see ahead and can think about what's going to happen, says, "O Epimetheus, O Epimetheus." You know it, right? O is the big giveaway, right? This is the vocative, and the spelling on the end is a little weird because it's a Greek word. So the spelling is going to be a little bit different. The endings are going to be a little bit different. Vocative is only used for direct address. Yeah, it's the Greek ending. In Greek, his vocative would be Epimetheus, right? So these are Greek names, so a lot of times they'll borrow some of the Greek endings as well. But the key here is knowing that it's in the vocative. So he says, "O Epimetheus," and this is not a typo. Eras, erare with two R's, not eras like eram, eras, erat. This is eras. What do we think it means to errare? E-R-R-A-R-E. He says to his brother, "Oh, brother, eras, you are what?" errare. What could this word mean? What does it mean? What do we think that verb means? Errare. Erro, errare. Think about what this word means in English. Or this word. It means a what? What's an error? Yeah, so essentially he's saying, oh brother, you're wrong, you're incorrect. Errare as a verb means to make a mistake. So he says, oh Epimetheus, Epimetheus, there we go. You are making a mistake. You're wrong. Periculum non vides. So we have here our vocative to get it going, right? Make this a 7. So we start out with the vocative, right? So I know who I'm talking to. And then my verb is second person singular because he's talking directly to his brother. And he's saying, you, Epimetheus, you are making a mistake. Periculum non vides. Now, periculum in a chart could be nominative or accusative. If it's nominative, then it would be the one doing the seeing. And also this would need to be third person. So that's just not working out, right? So periculum has to be the accusative. And non vides, because he's still talking to his brother, he says, oh brother, you non vides. You do not see the periculum. Oh brother, you do not see the danger. So danger here is your accusative direct object. So, one more time, nice pass through the story here. Iapetus has, on the quiz, simple sentences like this with easy vocab. Yeah, this is about what I'm going to expect from you guys. Obviously, I'm going to give you all the vocabulary. Iapetus has 2 sons, Prometheus and Epimetheus, right? So we had the direct object here. He has 2 sons. Prometheus is a man of great wisdom. So we had a predicate nominative here. He's a man of great wisdom. So genitive of description. Epimetheus is a man without wisdom. So without wisdom here, that was a prep phrase. Sine goes with the ablative. Jupiter gives the beautiful woman Pandora to Epimetheus. So we had an indirect object there, dative. Prometheus, the subject, often warns Epimetheus about Pandora. He says, oh Epimetheus, oh brother, you are making a mistake. So direct address, vocative. You do not see the danger, accusative, direct object. And there is our translation. So I'm going to leave it on this screen, so if people need to pause on this screen and finish their translation, you can certainly do that. Any questions, guys, before I take off? I got to go teach my section 42. And if you want to do any more practice or anything like that, you know, office hours are the place to be on a Wednesday after school. All right, guys, I'm going to cut it here. If you need anything, just reach out, okay? Talk to you later.